So it's a sustainable strategy in the sense that it's manageable, it's not consuming all of your time, and it's using all the features and opportunities available on Instagram to promote your products, to promote your services, to promote your business, to promote your other channels like your blog or YouTube. You get something out of it because we can put endless material into the social media machine, but if we're not getting something back, it's going to be difficult to keep it sustainable.
Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Lucas O'Keefe. If you don't know who Lucas is, he is a social media strategist who helps content creators and business owners maximize their exposure on Instagram and beyond. He's also an official Adobe Global Ambassador. His newsletter is Small Biz Buds with a Z, where he shares tips, strategies, and updates in the world of social media. Lucas, welcome to the show. How you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm great, Mike. It's awesome to be on here.
I'm super excited to have you. Today, Lucas and I are going to explore how to create a sustainable Instagram strategy. And before we go there, Lucas, I'd love to hear a little bit about your backstory. How'd you get into Instagram and in social media in general? Start wherever you want to start.
Yeah, and I'm so glad we're focusing on sustainability today because that's been a crucial part of my journey and my story. It largely started in 2019, where I was just an avid content creator. So before getting into what I do now, working in social media marketing, social media influencing, I was an elementary school teacher. So completing 8 years as a grade 8 teacher here in Ontario, Canada. That was my full-time job. That was what I loved to do and spend my days doing, before I realized just how many overlaps it has with content creation and personal branding and getting your message out there. But at the point of 2019, all my students were talking about this one platform, which was not Instagram. It was TikTok. So TikTok was booming right before the pandemic. They were talking about it day in, day out. If I was having to ask them to put away a phone, it was probably because they were on TikTok. Not something I fully encourage in the hands of a student, but seeing that this platform had potential. This was a very creative video platform that was, telling everybody you can be a content creator. And first and foremost, you don't need tons and tons of training or high-tech gear to be a content creator. You could just pick your phone up, choose a trending audio and record something fun and share it for your friends, your audience. So I decided, hey, I got to figure out what the hype about this TikTok platform is. And I made an account. It was completely faceless as a teacher, crossing the realms of getting discovered by your students on social media. And then being their teacher was always an area I tried to avoid. So I had this faceless TikTok account where I would just share riddles and puzzles, things that I would introduce to my students in class as like a minds-on to the lesson. And I figured, hey, if my students are engaged and entertained by this, I'm going to hop on social media and share these riddles and puzzles too. I ended up going quite viral. I had some riddles and puzzle videos I shared hit 14 million views, 8 million views. Yeah, a lot of virality. This was pretty new age TikTok. And I thought, I really enjoy this. I have discovered a new passion to go along with my teaching. I want to create and share content. I want to learn everything there is to it. And as things went on and I continued to do that, I figured I want to teach others how to do this as well. Because again, I found social media now has really evolved towards, it doesn't have to be polished. If you have something to share and a way to share it, go ahead, create it, put it on the platform. It might even do better than the perfectly polished stuff. So as I was creating this account, this was a TikTok, again, that riddle and puzzle TikTok account. I grew it to about 100,000 followers. Just sharing all that content, still not showing my face. At this time, we transitioned into the pandemic. So March 2020, as a school teacher, schools closed here in Ontario, and I know a lot of other places as well. And I had a lot of extra time on my hands. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to start pursuing this and helping others with what I have learned about creating content. So I started reaching out to some local small businesses, a lot of acupuncturists, family clinics, chiropractors. That was just the niche that I fell into from some connections with family friends and whatnot. And I started helping them create content for TikTok and then for Instagram. And that's really where my platform of choice, my bread and butter, Instagram fell into my hands. I decided to start doubling down right there because of all the different options available on the platform. And something I discovered, this was before Reels were even out, a way I really discovered that I like to share my message was those swipeable carousel posts on Instagram. So jamming in 10, people always ask me, what's a carousel? It's just any image-based post where you can jam in up to 10 images, or slides is what I call them. And your audience or you can just swipe through. A lot of people like to do it as that like photo dump style of like, here's a carousel of my vacation and 10 photos. I started doing them in the format of like a mini textbook, a mini almost PDF guide. And I had a lot of fun just teaching my message about how to create effective content in this format. At that time, I really started to realize, okay, this is growing. This is getting big. A lot of people want to learn from me in the form of workshops on Instagram. They want to, have me teach them how to design content. And I started to feel that pull between being a full-time school teacher and coming home and being a full-time content creator. And I did that overlapping for 4 years of creating content, posting it either in the morning before work or coming home and sharing it in the evening, consulting with brands, working with brands, doing my social media influencer obligations, creating brand content, and then teaching a full class from 9 to 5 every day. Eventually, it got to the point where I had to choose. I was being, burning the candle at both ends. And after, again, building up these really strong brand partnerships on Instagram, this January, so January 2024, I made the full leap to leave my teaching job. And I've been a full-time content creator and social media strategist ever since. Well, really for the last 4 years overlapping, but now I can do it full-time.
Very cool story. Congratulations on the journey and the jump into entrepreneurship. So tell us about kind of the newsletter side of the things. What's the story behind that? Yeah.
So with, again, the social media state of today, so much changes and everyone has questions. I found with a lot of my audience and my clients, they were sharing that like they didn't know what to believe. Is this a myth? How many hashtags can you use? If I edit my social media post, is it going to hurt my reach? If I use a scheduling app, is it going to affect my content? So many different things going around that nobody had really proven, and some of them we can't prove. But I decided to create the Small Biz Buds newsletter. So small BIZBUDZ, just so I can share a weekly update for my audience, which is growing very quickly, about what's being updated on social media, what's new on Instagram. What are, Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, what did he just share in his weekly Q&A on his stories that maybe you missed? What's new in the world of TikTok or LinkedIn or YouTube Shorts? So I have that together every Thursday. I send out a nice newsletter with all the updates, my commentary, and my advice on it so people can be in the know on what might work and what should work for their strategy.
Yeah. And just looking at your metrics here a little bit, it looks like you are approaching, as of today, 375,000 people following you on Instagram. And I would imagine you've got quite a bit of views on some of the stuff that you're creating. I mean, are you doing Reels content on Instagram in addition to carousels, or is it mostly carousel content you're creating there?
Yeah, so something that I find gives me a lot of authority in this space that a lot of my colleagues and peers and my audience respect me for is I've seen it all. I've been through the changing state and landscape of Instagram. Like I said, I largely grew a lot of my audience before Reels were even a thing. I dealt with the transition of here's Reels, here's this new format. Instagram wants us to create it. Go. It's the wild, wild west. Go create Reels, share them. And then I dealt with what felt like the last few years where Reels were almost the only way to get discovered. So I've been through all those changing states and I've gone through sharing those carousels. I've designed a lot of infographics that are, it speaks to the teacher in me. Here is a textbook page that is going to summarize the different content formats or some ideal Instagram posting schedules or some engagement routines. I've done that and I have adopted the Reels and incorporated that. So I find because I've had a really wholesome growth strategy across all the changes Instagram has gone through, I've maintained very strong engagement, which I'm very grateful for from my audience throughout all those changes. That allows me to really speak with a lot of this authority about what's working on Instagram now. what is going to be a cycle and come back around that was working a few years ago. It really is a constantly evolving platform, but that's why I love it.
Very cool. All right. So there's a lot of people that are creating content on Instagram, and some of them are full-time creators. Others of them are marketers representing a business. What do you see as some of the big struggles these days that they tend to be having to deal with on Instagram?
I would have to say the biggest struggle is no matter what hat you wear, like you said, could be an entrepreneur, could be a marketer, small business owner, graphic designer, just a content creator for fun. No matter what hat you wear, I find many content creators are just finding their audience isn't seeing what they're posting. They're putting the content out there. They're putting good hard work into it, but it's just not being seen by the same level of audience reach that you maybe had in previous years, or that you know and feel your post deserves to be seen by. So that's definitely something I want to chat about today.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about, really from this point forward, your strategy in particular about creating an Instagram strategy that is like achievable and sustainable. Before we get started, like, what does it mean to have a sustainable Instagram strategy? And then we can talk about where we ought to begin.
A sustainable Instagram strategy incorporates all aspects of what it means to be on social media, all the different ways you have to show up in a way that you can manage. And I'm speaking as someone who has done this as an individual who has worked on content teams. So it's something that you can manage at all levels that you might approach it. And I think sustainability really needs a reward, something given back. So it's a sustainable strategy in the sense that it's manageable, it's not consuming all of your time, and it's using all the features and opportunities available on Instagram to promote your products, to promote your services, to promote your business, to promote your other channels like your blog or YouTube. You get something out of it because we can put endless material into the social media machine, but if we're not getting something back, it's going to be difficult to keep it sustainable.
Cool. And you've come up with a cool strategy. And if we follow this strategy, the promise is, or the hope is, that we're going to get what you just talked about, right? We're not going to burn the candle at both ends. We're going to feel comfortable that we're doing the right things and we're getting the kind of response that we're hopeful for, right? So what is the first part of your Instagram strategy?
Yeah. So my Instagram strategy is the Accel framework. ACCEL. And it comes from the idea of, I've always been fascinated by space. Usually whenever I have brands that I want to work with, I always say, how can we incorporate space in the logo? Outer space, being up there, out in orbit. So the Accel or Accelerate strategy is really about launching, taking off your social media strategy and then keeping it up there in orbit. I find we see a lot of content creators who might have that initial boom, that initial reach where they're getting their content out there, they're getting discovered. And Instagram has said that they do reward new creators on the platform with some reach to get them encouraged to keep posting. But my Accel framework is about getting it up there, but then keeping it up there, keeping it in orbit around your business. So ACCEL. The first letter of it, A, stands for your audience, which I think is so crucial to start with. And when it comes to your audience, I challenge people to think about, in the same way a marketer is going to find their ideal customer, right? You're going to find your ideal customer avatar. Something I've had to remind others to do is, well, why not find your ideal follower on Instagram? It's almost like and it's important to also view your followers as your audience, your community, not just customers, because it is social media. We want to keep it social. But if you could find your ideal audience, your ideal follower, then all the rest of your strategy can be custom tailored towards that person. So it really does have to start there. And my favorite place to look when you're trying to find like your ideal, who am I trying to create content for? My favorite place to look is take a dive into your niche. Take a dive into what other accounts out there are already doing. Who are they speaking to? Now, you're obviously going to have your own unique brand. You're going to have your own unique voice, your own content that I strongly encourage. I think you need that if you're going to stand out on social media. You can't just say the same thing as everybody else. But if you look at who other accounts are speaking to, who's in their comments asking questions already, what are those questions? You can find out exactly who your ideal audience is, who your ideal follower is, and what they need to know. And you can turn that into content that's going to perform. It's going to get shared. It's going to get people to follow you. It's going to build trust and get people buying your products or services. So it's got to start with the audience and your ideal follower first.
It's something that I know marketers instinctively understand, which is that we've got this target audience that we want to try to create content for. And I think it's like innate with so many marketers. But I also think many marketers forget who that person is that they're trying to reach. And sometimes they think that they're exactly the same as the person creating the content, and they lose sight of who that audience is. And before you know it, they're talking about things that are not necessarily relevant to that audience, but might be personally relevant to them. Have you seen this with a lot of other creators? Like they're just kind of all over the place with their content. Yeah.
The biggest thing I will say to friends who are like, or colleagues or clients or peers who are like, Lucas, no one is resonating with what I'm creating. I'll take a look at some of their posts and I'll say, who'd you create this for? Did you create this for, your ideal follower who's out there wondering, or did you create this for yourself? Right. And I find more often than not, that big obstacle is they throw a little bit of deep reflection and honesty into it. And they realize I created this for myself. I have a friend who I'm working with. We're really trying to get his brand to take off, his personal brand. He's an amazing filmographer. He does that really cinematic short form reels that tell a story. So powerful. But he's realizing the message isn't resonating with anybody. And I said, this video makes you look good. It looks great. But what is it giving to someone else? What is someone watching this video going to get from it to say, I need to share this to my friend. I need to post this on my stories. I need to comment or DM you and say, hey, I loved your post. I'm following you. So you're right. It's all about what your audience can get from it and really answering their top questions. Like you mentioned, we can often think in that customer mindset. Social media, you have to be that community first mindset. We've seen so many brands like Duolingo, for example. I know Wendy's has a really fun community strategy. They put the community first. They put the audience first. They put the engagement first. And they put promoting the product or selling something way further down the line. Because at the end of the day, I'm going on social media because I want to interact. I want to feel like I'm a part of something. And that is going to be community. And if you can, find out who that audience is and build your content strategy around that, you're going to grow.
So in your case, as a creator, who is that audience that you have been targeting? I'm assuming you've been pretty strategic about this for a long time, right?
So at my point of my most growth, the story that really resonated from me with my audience was I was the person who was, running a full-time business and working a full 9-to-5 job at the same time. I very quickly realized that was the approach I was going to take. It has since evolved and it's turned into I'm helping marketers, I'm helping entrepreneurs, I'm helping full-time business owners, and still my original audience. So it has grown from there. But that was the first story that I realized made me unique. And I really leaned into that in my content.
Perfect. Okay. So there's 5 parts to this. A is the first, and that's audience. What's next?
So you have your audience, you know who you're speaking to, but now you have to figure out how you're speaking to them. The first C in our Excel framework is content. And social media, you need content, right? You need an audience, you need a platform, and then you need a way to reach them, which is through your content. I love Instagram because it gives us such a diverse amount of formats to share your message in. I know I mentioned earlier that Instagram has gone through phases where it felt like reels were just being rewarded. But something that I really stress is that, at the state of Instagram right now, all content formats can do well. It's really about figuring out that audience, figuring out a way you like to share your message. So is reels the best way for you to put your foot forward? Is it carousels? Are you an expert storyteller in written word and carousels are going to work for you? Are you a wonderful photographer and you're going to take beautiful photos? I truly do believe that you can reach your audience right now with any of those formats. And we'll talk about other things too that Instagram lets us do. But it really comes down to figuring out how you want to share your message and what your best message is going to be. And that comes down to those formats. So I like to always just stress that they do have different advantages. I'll start with reels first. At the end of the day, if you are a new account and you're trying to get that initial reach, Reels are going to be the best content out there for getting more reach, more eyes on what you're posting, because it's a highly shareable format. Yes, it's also a priority of Instagram, but it's also a priority of the top audiences today. Again, the CEO of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, he does his Q&As, and he just said this past week, he said shares, he called them sends, but shares are the top metric that you want to reach if you want to get a lot more spread and a lot more wide reach for your content. And people typically do share video content a lot more than other types of more static posts. So I say, if you're looking for reach, if you're looking for audience growth, you want to start to incorporate more Reels. That being said, make sure you're comfortable creating Reels. Don't just do it because you think it's the hot new thing. I've heard of a lot of like marketing teams saying, all right, we have to be on TikTok or we have to share Reels, but then not looking into the research required for an actually solid video strategy. What is the way to go with the platform, the way people like to use Reels? Keep it, that off the cuff, unpolished way. That could be an approach. You could use the audios, or you can go super hyper polished and get attention that way. But it does come down to finding out what your strategy is. That's with Reels. I found when I was using my carousel posts, so those swipeable multi-image posts, while again, they might not get the reach that Reels do, might not be shown to as many new audiences, they are amazing for conversion. So when it came down to getting someone to hit that follow button, getting someone to buy a product or service, taking them along the journey of a 10 slide or 10 image carousel post where I can have a nice hook on that first slide, have a nice hook on that second slide, because something unique about carousels is it's the only content format that Instagram will show twice to your audience. So if they skip past it the first time, there's a chance a few hours later, they'll see that second slide and they might give it a read. But really take them along that. Yeah.
Real quick question on that. Is the second slide, do they usually only show the first and the second slide? I mean, have you noticed this? Like, it's not going to be necessarily the third slide. Do you understand where I'm going?
That's it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't seen this like deep dive of like, give me a third chance, give me a fourth chance.
Yeah. But you have a sense of that if the first slide doesn't connect with people, they might re-show the carousel on the second slide. That's what you've noticed, right? Is that what I'm hearing you say? Okay, yeah. Cool.
And the great thing, and using that, when I encourage someone to create a carousel, whether it is, graphic design, text on screen, or even just a photo dump, I say put your best two slides. If it's photos, put your best two photos in the first two slides, right? Make that your first two photos. And if you're teaching something, if it's like a carousel with text on screen, more graphic design oriented, put a nice hook, big bold font, or a big vibrant image to actually support the post on that first slide. But then don't just repeat the same hook on slide 2. Keep that large font for slide 2 and almost make it feel like it's a secondary cover slide, because you never know if people are going to see the first or the second. And then the third and onward, you can, of course, continue with your story and the information you want to get across.
I like that you mentioned for writers, carousels are really the way to go, because there's so many writers who feel like myself, who feel like Instagram is not my platform. I can go to Threads, right? Because obviously Threads is multimodal and I can do all sorts of different kind of media there. Feels a little bit more like Facebook. But Instagram, I feel like isn't my platform because I am first and foremost a writer. And I love the fact that you can take content and you can spread it across many different slides. Are you using any special tools to make that look better? Any tips on that?
Yeah. So if you go into many of the graphic design tools out there, I use Adobe Express. Canva's great for this too. And if you type in carousel in the search bar, usually you'll find a template that's already designed for multiple social media slides. You'll notice many of them even have like that first slide that's a hook. They have the in-between slides that give the information and acquire interest. And then something I haven't mentioned yet that's very important if you are doing especially a written or text-based carousel, your final slide is where you want your call to action. I find, again, like I said, conversion is the strength of a carousel post, because after taking someone along for that multi-slide journey, you have their attention. it's really a pattern break. Instead of them swiping up and down, skipping posts, you make them swipe left and right. And it has a very cool effect on the mind for grabbing attention. If you bring them to your final slide and it's a call to action, very simple, follow me for more Instagram tips, follow me for social media updates, or, click the link in my bio to get my 365-day content calendar. These are things I've done. These are things I've sold on social media. And it's highly effective compared to just putting like text on screen at the end of your reel, right? I find that takes people out of the video, but in a carousel, you can put whatever call to action you want on that final, I usually say slide 10 if you're using all 10 slides, and people are probably going to do it if they came that far into your post.
Okay. A lot of people listening have Adobe licenses. Is the Express product part of the typical Adobe suite, or is that a separate product?
No, so that's what's awesome about Adobe Express is that if you already have a license for, Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Illustrator, Express is really that light tool that acts as the in-between for all your other Adobe products. So you have a premium Adobe Express license in your overall Creative Cloud.
And that's where you can find a lot of these templates that you're talking about, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about carousels and we talked about reels. Is there any other content type that you're really hyped about? And if there is, go ahead and mention it. But I also want to talk about the challenge that people might feel about showing up all the time as well, because we want this to be sustainable, right?
Exactly. So again, if it does come down to all these different ways you can show up, I will say the third one I will add in there, which is the simplest to create, is, your single image photo, what Instagram was originally designed for. I personally like these for infographics. So just like a routine or a checklist. Again, Adobe Express, Canva are both great for that. Type in infographic, type in checklist into the search bar for templates and work on your own from there. But it really does come down, in my opinion, to finding your one strong, dominant type of post that you're going to create. What is the one that you like to show up with the most? Because as you said, we're talking about sustainability here. You can lose that quite quickly if you feel like you have to create and learn how to do reels. You have to create, single images. You have to create carousels. Based on your skills, those can be very time consuming or very quick and easy to make. So the ideal content format is what can you create easily in a quality that you and your audience are going to appreciate? Whatever that post is, and I'll be getting into some nice breakdowns for my ideal content that you can go with. Whatever that post is, triple down on that. Create the most of that post because that's going to save you time. I have a nice batch creating process I like to follow. And in the past, I've shared, here's how to create a month of content in one day. And I very quickly realized that is a quick way to not be sustainable and to go to burnout. If you're trying to create that many pieces of content in a short period of time, you're going to see a decline in the quality. Instead, what I suggest is to plan your content and create your content 1 week at a time. And when I go into the stage of creating that in a sustainable way, batch content creation is very similar to, create all your posts in one go. What I do instead is I do what I call phase content creation. So when it comes to my social media content, the very first phase that I need, doesn't matter what kind of post it is, it all starts with one phase, and that is my content idea phase. So what I'll do, you can split this up across multiple days, or you can do 30 minutes or an hour at a time, take a break in between. But what I do for my first phase is I'll sit down and I'll do what I call a brain dump. I just think of all the ideas that I need to get out in my niche that people have asked me, that I've been wondering, that I've wanted to share for a while. And without applying too much criticism to them, I just freely write them all. I don't need to use all these, but I'd rather they be on that paper than they not be on that paper. I'll write down all the ideas I can possibly think of. Nothing's a bad idea. That's my content idea phase. To add to that, I'll look at the post that I saved in the following week. A lot of us do our social media content doom scrolling, where you are spending 2 hours on social media watching posts and saying it's content research. Well, I always say, make it content research. Actually look at and use the saved folders on Instagram. Instagram has collections. So whenever you save a post, you have the option to create a folder within your saves. I have one called inspiration, right? I have one called promotion. So how other people have done brand partnerships that I want to learn from. Name them all, whatever you might need, split them up along your content pillars. but actually have those saves. And when you're looking for content ideas, return to them and see what topics resonated with you or resonated with, worked for other content creators, and write that down too. Because if it worked for another content creator and you're going to apply your own twist and your own story and voice to it, it's probably going to work for you too. So first phase, content ideation. From there.
Cool. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. By the way, real quick, just to clarify, so we're in the Excel. Let me just do a station interrupt. We're in the Excel model here, right? And we started with the audience, right? And then we start. Second phase here is the content phase. And have we already kind of morphed into the third phase, or are we still in the content phase?
So content is going to be the heaviest because, content is everything. Like they say, content is king on social media. Yep. This is a good way.
We didn't accidentally kind of drip into the next one. We're still in content. Is that correct?
Still in content. Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
And it'll be the longest for sure.
No, keep going. That's cool.
So in my phase content creation, the phase model is I will start with that content ideation. From there, what I'll do is I'll get in the writing mode and I'll write all my scripts, or I'll write all my copy, or I'll write all my captions that I need for that post. So maybe the reels that I'm going to assign with that topic I want to create, I'll write the script on a Google Doc, right? Maybe it's a carousel and I need the text on screen. I'll write that in a Google Doc. Maybe it's just going to be a photo, or it's going to be like a routine or a checklist that I need to design later. I'm going to write down the words that are going to go with it. So again, just keep my brain oriented for writing and scripting. That's the second phase that I'll use to create my strong content. Once I have those scripts, my path splits a bit. If I'm designing posts, I'll design them all in one go. So if they're carousels or checklists or infographics, I'm going to sit down at Adobe Express. I'm going to design them. If they're reels, I'm going to film them. Put on some nice shirts, get ready to swap them out in between, get in front of a window with good lighting, get my mic, get my lights, get my gear, and I'm going to record everything I need. Not going to edit it yet, just record. So by the end of this, I now have all my reels recorded and written, and I have all my posts designed. From there, I'll just do the fine tuning. I will edit my reels, clip all the things. I like to use CapCut. I'm going to clip and just make it nice and organized for a nice polished video. And if I need to do any polishing on my graphic designs, I'll do that as well. Now the roads come back together because I'm scheduling my content, or I'm, planning it out and plotting out my week and how I'm going to show up. Now that content's done. Yep. Yeah.
How much time are you investing in all this? I'm just curious, on a weekly basis.
So to get 5 posts out in a week, and I would say about 2 of them are reels, 2 of them are infographic checklists, and 1 of them's a carousel. I invest about 2 hours of my time to create those. And they're very high quality in my opinion. Yeah. And feels like a good commitment.
2 hours total for all that content. That's not that bad.
2 hours total. Yeah. And I find because I divide it into phases, if I tried to sit down and make 1 post at a time, I find a huge trap that content creators fall into is they try to make 1 post from start to completion and ready to post in 1 sitting. And that alone can take you an hour and a half or 2 hours. If you put it into phases, you'll really see that, your mind gets in the zone to write and writes a lot faster. It gets in the zone to record and edit, and it does that a lot faster. Gets in the mind to schedule your content, and it does that a lot faster. So that's been the process that I've had.
Cool. Is there any other part of this process that you were going to address before I interrupted you there? Okay, cool.
So now we have our content. We have our content. That is the first C in Excel. We're going to move on to the second C, which is consistency. So again, you have all that content made. Consistency, I find, is going to keep you showing up. I have seen, going along with the big problems that a lot of content creators face and businesses face on Instagram, is they'll do something called a content sprint, where you'll try to post every single day for 2 weeks straight. And maybe you do it, but then at the end of those 2 weeks, you're burnt out, you're exhausted, you've talked about everything you think you can talk about, and you have to go, you disappear for 2 weeks and you go completely silent because you're burnt out. That's not what we want. A much better strategy is something like spreading those posts out, not necessarily every day if you don't have the bandwidth or the team to do it. Instead, find a model that is sustainable for you to consistently show up. Something I have found as a good happy medium between showing up enough for your audience and staying top of mind, staying top of feed on their feed, and also not getting burnt out is 4 to 5 posts per week. I find 3 is a minimum on Instagram. If it's exceptional quality, you might get away with 1 a week, but that's a whole category of its own. I say 3 posts per week is a minimum to show up enough. 4 to 5 posts is that sweet spot for, you're not getting burnt out from creating 7 pieces of content and dealing with everything involved with that, but you're also showing up enough. So I like 4 to 5 pieces. And going back to those content formats, they can actually help with consistency as well. Because if you're just posting reels, 5 reels a week, you're probably going to get run out of ideas very quickly, and your audience is going to see a lot of the same stuff. Use those different content formats for variety for you as a content creator or as a content team and for your audience. So what I would look at is when you're making your perfect 1 week of content, how you're going to show up. I always suggest, let's say 5 posts. Let's say we're going to decide on 5 posts a week. Go back to, like I said, your bread and butter favorite format that is your best to show up with. You want to make sure about 3 out of 5 of those posts are going to be your best format. So if Instagram Reels are what you're showing up with because you want to actually be seen and get that reach, get that shareability, post 3 Instagram Reels out of your 5 posts. Your 4th post, maybe make it a carousel. It's going to take a bit more time, might not get as much shareability and reach as that reel, but use that to promote yourself, right? Use that to talk about your products or services. I have found so much growth and benefits on social media from educating, giving value, giving entertainment with the majority of your content, and then promoting. You should absolutely promote, but promoting using that as 1 post per week. And I'll talk about other formats that are available that will let you promote a lot more as we progress through the framework. But 3 out of 5 posts, make it your best format, your favorite format. 1 post, make it a promotional format. And then let's say those are reels and a carousel. Your 5th post, make it a single image, make it a photo, remind that you're a human behind your brand, you're a human on the other end of the phone, and share some updates and behind the scenes. That's a good way to get a good mixture to keep a strong dominant strategy in whatever, whether it's reels or carousels or photos that are your best content, but to still have a wholesome model in promoting and getting your name out there.
Okay, just to clarify a couple things here, and by the way, there's been so much great content here. The idea of kind of working 1 week at a time, right? Instead of batching an entire month at a time, you kind of alluded that there is an advantage to this. What is the advantage to kind of getting in the cadence where you're doing, even though there is little batching, as you mentioned earlier, of certain kinds of work, right? Like you're going to do your ideation phase all together for that week of content and these other, recording phase or creative phases. What's the advantage to doing them in 1 week bursts instead of doing them in multi-week bursts? Just help everybody wrap their head around that.
So the thing I found about creating your content 1 week at a time versus getting a whole month sorted is we live in a fast and quick and changing world. And social media is that times 10. I find things change so quickly that in the past, when I've tried to plan a whole month of content, or I've worked with brands or social media managers who have done a whole month of content all at the start of the month, by the time they got to the 3rd week, usually for the first 2 weeks, it's good. But by the time they got to the 3rd or 4th week, they were forgetting why they even had that in their strategy. And maybe it wasn't as relevant still as they thought. Social media, a large strategy we see is trending content. My best performing content day in, day out, and trends work for all niches, is news updates. What's new on Instagram? Instagram just described this just launched this new feature. Let me show you how it works and my own commentary and thoughts on it. I'm trying to create those the same week they're launched. If I'm waiting or if I'm, creating content for a whole month, I'm already going to have a piece of content in that slot. So when something, news breaking launches, I won't be able to really create it because I already have a plan in place. Whereas with 1 week at a time, it's a lot more malleable and I can adapt to the changes in my niche, in my industry, and keep my content relevant to my audience. I think we've all seen it where brands use like trend marketing, which is very popular on TikTok, Reels, and becoming YouTube Shorts as well. Trend marketing in your short form video. If you post a trend that is like 3 weeks old, you're almost inviting your audience to like poke fun at you and laugh at you. You want to be timely and you want to be quick and actionable with these things.
Sweet. Okay, we've got ACCEL. A is audience. First C is content. Second one is consistency. What is the E?
So the E is my favorite part. I know I spoke at length about content. The E is engagement. And engagement is really what's going to turn social media social, as cliche as that is. It's going to get your content seen. Remember that initial problem we spoke about at the beginning of the episode? What are so many content creators, brands, and businesses facing? It's nobody seeing their content. And engagement is the way to unlock that and to get your content seen. To explain why engagement's important, I always like to reference a fun little experiment. We won't do it, but I'm going to walk through the steps in a way that our listeners can do it themselves and see. This shows why engagement matters on social media in general, but I'll reference it in Instagram. So my experiment is this. You're going to go on Instagram and you're going to go into your DMs. Okay, you go into your DMs, pick someone who like regularly replies and is pretty active on social media, a friend, someone who's always on their phone. Send them a DM. You can say, hey, this is an experiment. Reply to this. Or, hey, how's it going? Tell me about your dog. Send something they're going to reply to. Get them to reply. They reply back. Cool, Lucas. What's the experiment? Close out of your DMs. Okay. Close out of your Instagram DMs and go to your main feed. 9 times out of 10, guess who the very first piece of content you're going to see on your main feed is by? Assuming they've posted something new, it's going to be that person you just DM'd. Because Instagram notices. It takes note of the relationships that you have. We used to have the chronological feed way long ago, and they've kind of brought some formats of it back. Chronological feed, whatever you post would show up. I post right now, it shows up on everyone's feed. Lucas posted 1 second ago. Now we have the algorithmic feed, right? Where it tries to look at the highest quality content that will keep people on the platform. The way it decides that, what will keep you on the platform is your relationships. What do you engage with the most? So knowing that when we engage with other people, when we build and foster community with them, put the social back in social media, they will see our content more. So what I like to do, because engagement can get a bad reputation, it is not, and I will say this for everybody, the huge disclaimer, it is not, go down the feed and comment fireball emojis on every single post and as fast as you can. It's about being authentic, right? It's about going to a networking event in your niche and industry. So much of social media can be handled by take it offline and think about what you would do if this was a real life face-to-face event. Go mingle at an event and leave comments on people's posts, send them DMs in the same way you would introduce yourself or have a casual conversation at a mixer or at a networking event. That's what you want to be doing. It's not about I'm going to get this many reps in and spam everybody's feed. So I will say that. But my favorite way to engage, I'm going to share 2 ways. The first one is through comments. And the reason why leaving comments is so important at getting you noticed and getting your content noticed on really any social media, but we'll talk about Instagram, is if you look at the notification feed. So think about opening up your phone on Instagram and looking through your notifications. Likes, it gets batched in with everybody else who's liked the photo. It might say Lucas and 75 others liked your post, but unless I'm that first name, I'm not being noticed for it. Comments, though, always get their own line on the notifications. No matter what, you go and it says, Lucas commented, love this post. Your story is inspiring. That is like leaving a tiny little billboard out there in the world of social media that the person you commented on might notice, but also their audience, people who see that post after them, might notice. One of my favorite things to do on social media is to read the comments other people have left, to read the conversations going on in those comments. It's not too far of an expectation to believe that if we leave comments and we strike up conversation, someone might tap on our username, tap on our little billboard and go check out our account. Oh, I tapped on this Lucas guy's post. He's got some cool content himself. I'm going to follow him. So it gets you noticed. But again, going back to those relationships, if you are commenting on content all the time and it's getting those people to maybe notice you and comment back on your posts, I always say do it without expectation, but 9 times out of 10, if I comment on someone's post in a supportive way, they might come check out my account, leave a comment on my post. We have that 2-way relationship going on. They're going to see my content a whole lot more now because Instagram thinks we're connected. We want to see each other's posts. So that's the first way I like to use comments. The second thing I like to do is stories. So stories are the way to get into someone's DMs. And like I said with my experiment, the DMs are like the cream of the crop for like telling Instagram, you and this person like each other's content, right? You're friends, right? You are connected. DMs are the most personal way you can communicate with someone on Instagram. It's hard and potentially spammy though to DM someone and introduce yourself. I've gotten tons of DMs, and I'm sure our listeners can relate to this too. Getting a DM where someone's like, hey, Lucas, I love your content. I just followed you. Please follow me back. Don't do that, right?
No. Yeah.
Right. It's very difficult to cold pitch yourself that way. And it's not the best way I would suggest getting out there. Instead, Instagram gives us a channel into someone's DMs where they're inviting us to DM them. And that is stories. So every time I post on Instagram, and in a moment, I'll share a routine that's broken down into 1 hour, how you can just do all your engagement in 1 hour. That's it. Don't spend hours because you can, and it's not sustainable that way. 1 hour engagement routine that will get your content seen and promoted with your audience and community. But what I'll stress in that is the importance of replying to stories. So every time I post on Instagram, the first thing I do is I go to my story feed and I start watching them. I go to those bubbles and okay, the first one, someone's promoting their new product. I don't really have anything to say about that. Skip to the next one, skip to the next one. Oh, this third story, this person's taking their dog for a walk. I can reply to that. Cute dog, what's his name, right? I'm in their DMs. If they reply back, my dog's name is Spot. We're DMing each other back and forth. They're probably going to see my content. I didn't spam them. I didn't pitch myself. They posted a picture of their dog. They wanted people to see it. I replied to it. And now we have that two-way interaction. This goes just as well for people who don't follow you back yet. I've followed a lot of people and I've gotten a lot of people to follow me because I replied to their stories in a very casual way. And we had a conversation and they either realized, hey, this Lucas guy seems kind of cool. We have a lot in common. Follow. Or I realized, hey, this person's really cool. We have a lot in common. Follow. So stories are that access point. Again, we're talking about all that Instagram has to offer. It's a lot, but that's why I love the platform. Stories are that access point to get into the DMs.
Outstanding. Okay, so we have one last letter. So what is that last letter?
Yes. So getting into it is, can I just share the quick 1 hour routine?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So when it comes down to all these ways to engage, again, you can spend hours and hours and hours doing it and you can get burnt out. Nobody wants to go to a networking event and shake every single person's hand. You want to have the quality conversations. So a very quick takeaway is my 1 hour routine that people can follow to get an adequate amount of engagement in on social media to get their posts seen without burning out. So the very first thing I do, I try to do this right after I post. There's a lot of studies on like what is the best time to post on social media. I often say, you don't need to focus on that as much. The best time to post first and foremost is when can you be active right away, right after you post. So for me, when I was a teacher, this was right before my lunch break because I'm not going to be on social media during class. I waited till my 1 hour lunch break and posted. Here's how you want to break down an hour. If you're fast, 45 minutes. First thing you want to do, spend about 15 minutes. You just posted on social media. Go to your previous post. So the one you posted 2 days before. So not the one you just posted, your previous one, second most recent, right before that. Go to the comments there. Look at everybody who commented on that post. If those people supported you yesterday or 2 days ago, they're probably pretty avid community members and want to support you. Tap on each of their names and check if they posted anything new. If they did and you want to support them, leave a comment on their post. Leave a supportive comment. Again, this is all about without expectation, just building community. This is what's worked for me. The people who supported me 2 days ago, I'll go tap on them, spend 15 minutes, commenting on their most recent post. 9 times out of 10, they'll see the notification and check if I posted anything new, or the algorithm will show them if I posted anything new. That's your first 15 minutes. Go to people who have supported you in the past. Comment on them. Second 15 minutes, so we're on to our 30 minutes, is do what I said about replying to stories. So watch stories on your feed, start some DM conversations where it feels comfortable, where it feels accurate, and start to have those conversations. There you go. That's 30 minutes down. Your third 15 minutes, so getting to a total of 45 minutes, I go to the Explore page. So I go to the Explore page and I start just looking at content that I haven't yet followed or haven't yet seen, and I start interacting on those posts. Go comment on posts in your niche. Previously, when hashtags were a bit more searchable, I would go search up hashtags in my niche and I would leave comments on those posts. People might notice you, people might appreciate your comment and go check out your account. Again, do it without expectation, but it usually works. We're at 45 minutes. I split up the last thing into 7-minute intervals. So I guess we don't complete a full 60 minutes. It's 59. But for the next 7 minutes or so, go through your Reels feed, go through your Explore, and save 3 or 4 posts that inspire you, that you're going to recreate, that you like the topic for. Always have that inspiration going. Save that. And then your last 7 or 8 minutes, whatever you need to finish off the hour, go to some large accounts in your niche. Go to the big, the big brands, go to the big leaders and leave comments on their posts. It's not commenting and saying, follow me instead, I do this. Don't do that, but have conversations. If people, like I said, know your audience, know your followers. If someone is, commenting on, I have a large audience. So if someone is commenting on my posts and someone who does something similar comes and starts having conversations, they might meet a new ideal follower, because if that person follows me, they might follow that individual who's also joining in the conversation. And that's a way to round out a nice hour and our engagement part of the Excel framework.
Love it. Okay. So the very last letter is L. What does that stand for?
So L is the fun part. L has a lot to it that is really kind of like choose your own adventure. It could be whatever you want it to be, and it stands for liftoff. If you know your audience, if you have some content that is going to work for you and, get out there to your audience and share your message, you're good. If you have consistency, that's our second C, then you're going to be showing up enough. If you have engagement, that's the E, then you're going to be having people see your content and want to stick around. Now we have that big base. We have that satellite, that space station. Let's launch it. And let's use all the other features that Instagram offers us. I can just quick fire them because there are so many.
Yeah, go for it.
Stories. Stories are the way, like I said, to show up in a non-committal way. A lot of people get sensitive about their Instagram feed, myself included. If I post too many weak posts, my engagement's going to drop. Stories, I can have that more casual nature. For example, I have a really fun mug that I'm using. It has an interesting looking duck that a student hand painted on it. If I were to post a picture of me in this mug, it has nothing to do with my brand or my niche, but I bet some people are going to reply back and talk about that mug. Oh, guess what? Now we're DMing each other. Now they're going to see my content on the main feed, right? And I'm getting to know them better too. Stories, amazing for that. Instagram Live. So many people sleep on Instagram Live. It can be a very intimidating thing to go live. But just like how I said, a carousel post is amazing for getting conversion and building trust. Instagram Live is just as good for getting your audience to believe in you, to buy your products, to buy your services, to show that you are a real, unique human being on the other side of that content. I have done Instagram Lives as a way to build my audience and reach by collaborating with 3 other people on an Instagram Live in a talk show style. I've gone on Instagram Live to promote my latest launches. Hey, everybody, it's January 1st. Happy New Year. And today on Live, I am showing you my 365-day content calendar that I like to sell. Here's how it works. I'm very transparent about that I'm promoting something, but it's more fun because it's live. People can just do a Q&A every week. Live is a super malleable format. You can show up in really any way. You either can or you don't have to repost the replay. For some people, resharing the replay after is a piece of content. So if you're having trouble to find those 5 posts a week, go live every Friday for 15 minutes. Post the replay. You've reached your audience live, you've engaged them, and you have a piece of content for the main feed. Love that. So that's stories, that's live. Another one that is very underused, that if you haven't done one of these and you want to grow and get more reach on Instagram right now, and I'm sure beyond, because they're pushing this, is the collaboration feature. So the collaboration feature is if I post something and I go to the tagging options before I post, I have the option to invite a collaborator. You can actually have up to 3 other collaborators. And the way that works, obviously the person has to approve it and agree. And you don't just post something and invite people to collab. You plan it out beforehand. You do a joint post together. But if you have a collab, the benefit is it gets shown on both your main feeds, both your audiences. Just earlier today, I shared an Instagram carousel that was a collaboration with one of my peers. We've been learning and growing and creating content together for years now. And the collaboration was a 10-slide carousel. We called it our magical Instagram growth guide. And all it was a fun little front cover slide. And then the in-between slides was one of my posts that previously did well, one of his, one of mine, one of his. And we kind of just shared like a little mini ebook textbook on the feed. It's doing better than all my usual posts. It's doing better than all his usual posts because it's activating both our audiences. That's another amazing thing to do. I could go on forever, but I'll say one more, and that is have somewhere for your audience to go. Liftoff shows that, you're building a business, you're building a brand here. Yes, it's great to share content and to gain followers, but audience growth, follower growth is just a small slice of the pie. You're growing a business, you are growing a brand, you want to direct traffic to something like a YouTube channel or your blog, you want to sell your products or services. That's where you want to start using the tools like your link in bio. I like link in bio if I only have one link to share. I find if I use the multi-tiered links or the trees, it gets difficult to get people clicking on it. Or I'll use things like Instagram DM or comment automation. ManyChat is a very common one that, someone comments a keyword on your post and they get sent a link to my latest brand partnership I'm working with or my latest product or service. So finding a way to keep that growth sustainable and then also incorporate a business element. I love Instagram. There's so many options. It's just like a playhouse for content creators and social media marketers.
Lucas O'Keefe, thank you, first of all, for sharing your strategy with us for creating a sustainable plan to excel on Instagram. If people want to connect with you on the socials, I'm assuming Instagram is the place to go. Tell them how to get to you on Instagram. And then if they want to check out your business, where do you want to send them?
Yeah, I love it. Instagram is definitely the place to go. It is at the Lucas O'Keefe. So the LUCASOKEEFE. As for my business, you can find me at Small Biz Buds. So again, BIZBUDZ.com. And if you go to smallbizbuds.com/SME, I've actually taken the Excel framework and put it into a little free ebook called Accelerate Social Media, and you can access it there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lucas, for coming on the show and sharing your insights with us. We're so much better because of it.
Oh, it's been a blast. Thanks a lot, Michael.